Hi, and welcome to Chamber Chat via Zoom. I'm 𝙏𝙗𝙚 𝙂𝙚, President of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce. Very excited to have Jay Linehan with me today. He is President of the Greater Lowell Community Foundation. How are you, Jay?
I am doing very well. Thank you for having me on this morning, Danielle. It's a pleasure to be with you here today.
It's a pleasure.
On a beautiful Friday.
I know, and I can see your office from my window. So one of these days we'll do this in person. So you have an exciting year ahead with the Community Foundation. You're celebrating 25 years.
I know it. 25 years. In the event we're going to celebrate, the date is June 2nd, and that was picked very intentionally because that was the day 25 years ago, June 2, 1997, that the Greater Lowell Community Foundation was incorporated. Pretty amazing. 25 years.
That is so
a lot has happened in 25 years.
A lot has happened in 25 years. You want to talk a little bit about that and then how long you've been at the Community Foundation? Because I have to say,
sure,
the Community Foundation has grown by leaps and bounds under your leadership.
Well, thank you so much for those kind words. You know, back in 1997, the foundation started with, an endowment of $50,000, like 40 some odd funds, and, did, 100,000 some odd dollars worth of grants. Today, we're just short of 60 based upon our 2021 financial statements as of 12/31. So we're just short of $60 million. We've got 390 different funds. We've got over 500 different people participating in those funds. And grants out the door. I was just looking at a piece of paper earlier today and it was saying 25 million, but that doesn't include it collectively, but that doesn't include what we've been doing this year with respect to the COVID grants over the last 2 years. And so you can probably add another $6-7 million to that. So we're in the low 30s as far as, grants out the door to nonprofits in the Greater Lowell region, which has been, an amazing run in and of itself. And in particular, over the last couple of years with the COVID stuff, it's been very, very interesting, to say the least.
That is, and those numbers are staggering. That is incredible. And that is the reason why in 2020, we named you our Steve Jones Community Champion. We usually do one for every community. We just went straight for you guys because the work that you had done at that point during COVID, who would have thought it would be, another almost 2 years. You have made such a huge difference in the community and really kept things moving.
Thank you so much again. Appreciate those words. It's clearly a team effort. There is no question about that. I mean, the huge team of 6 that we've got over here does amazing work, whether it be on the grant front or on the scholarship front. On this coming Tuesday, it's the Lowell High School Honors Night. It'll be the first time in a couple of years that they've actually had it in person. And so on that particular evening, it's similar to what occurs most years, but there's 200 and let me check my note. I want to make sure I get it right. It's 249 students receiving $355,000 worth of grant funds, scholarship funds. 1/2 of those students will be the first in their family to go to college, and 2/3 of those students have financial needs. So it's an amazing night. It's a really fun night. It's a very uplifting night when you go and witness the enthusiasm of those students there that evening. And that's a key piece of what the Community Foundation has done over 25 years, is worked with the with Lowell High School to do that. And we've done that on a lot of different fronts. So there's lots of things that we're looking forward to celebrate and make memory of on our 25th anniversary, which again is on June 2, and it's at the Inn Conference Center. And it starts at 5 o'clock with a reception that lasts an hour. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll have a program, and we'll do what we typically do for an annual meeting, what most nonprofits are familiar with. There's a little bit of business that we need to do, talk a little bit about the year that we just had, talk a little bit about the financial update, very short on that. We will also do what we do with regard to the governance and board of directors that we need to do there as well. And then we'll get into a conversation with 𝙘𝙚𝙀𝙗𝙀, who is our keynote speaker that evening. We are very thrilled to have her there. As folks may know, she's a presidential historian and a Pulitzer Prize winning author. And we'll be talking about, the challenges of leadership in the turbulent times that we have. And unfortunately, there are a lot of turbulent times that we can talk about in the leadership that's necessary in those tough times. So I'm looking forward to a very interesting discussion with her that evening. It won't be her just talking. She'll be interviewed, and she'll be interviewed by yours truly. And so we will have a discussion whereby she will obviously, talk towards the leadership issues, and then I'll ask her a few questions, and then we may take a question or two from some of our board members and or key sponsors from the audience, which makes it interesting as well. But looking very much forward to that. And I think one of the things that I like for the programs we run, the social hour is that 1 hour. The program is that 1 hour. You're in the door at 5, you're out the door at 7. It gives people quite an opportunity to hang around afterwards if they wish. But it's, again, very excited to celebrate 25 years at the Grand Lowell Community Foundation. And the impact it's had on our community, I think, has been amazing. So I'm really pleased to be here as the president and CEO for going on year 7.
Wow.
I started in January of 2016. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a very, very interesting time over the last number of years to do the different things that we've done at the foundation. And it all starts clearly with a good board. I mean, our board chair is 𝙘𝙚𝙚. I think most folks know Chet. Chet is a senior vice president at Enterprise Bank, and great chair. We've got a great board. And as I mentioned before, staff. You're only as good as you are with the staff that you surround yourself with. And I'm really, really blessed to have excellent staff. And we were just chatting about this the other day, particularly in light of 2 years of doing COVID grants day in and day out. I mean, typically we do a cycle and we've got, some grant programs that we do in the course of the year. Our discretionary grants, Women Working Wonders grants, the Net Scout grants, standard pieces that we do. But you layer on top of that, doing, I think it was up until last week, it was $5.5 million worth of grants. And we just signed off on 1.4 million more of grants going out the door. So we're close to $7 million worth of grants over the last couple of years. And that's just on top of everything else we do. And of course, there's a couple pieces to that. Obviously, the front end is going out and assessing the needs and how do we align, even though that sounds like a lot of money, it's not. I mean, with the needs in the community, they're enormous. So making sure that we align it as best we can so that it's an efficient and effective allocation of those resources on the front end, dealing with the nonprofits to assess the needs. And then it's the execution of the contracts and the follow-up. And there's another whole piece of that as well. So it's been a task, but it's certainly one that we're pleased to be tasked with, as I think it's had a significant impact on our community. So we're happy about that.
That's one of the great things about when, an annual meeting every year is it forces you to look back over the past year, because you can get so stuck in kind of in the day to day. And then you look back at you recap what you've done for a year, and then you say, wow, we have done so much. Look at the impact we've had. So I'm glad that you have to get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, you're right. It's nice to step back a little bit and assess, because oftentimes that assessment shows what you're doing right, but it also shows what you're not doing right. Mm-hmm. It's also a time to reflect, and you always want to improve upon the things that are good, clearly, but you want to correct the things that you might not have been doing quite as well. And we all have, none of us are perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Very true.
And we can always improve on something we're doing. And we always try to do that too, which is the self-reflection and the self-evaluation. The board is good at that too, doing evaluations of the work that we do, doing an evaluation of the work that I do. And that's a continuing process. And so it's a good thing to do. And just interacting with the nonprofits, because part of it is, touching base with a number of the nonprofits and getting feedback from them. How is it working from your end? What do you see? On many community foundation boards, and like I mentioned, we've got a really great board. but on many ones outside of GLCF, you won't find any nonprofits sitting on the board. That's not the case here at GLCF. The case is we've got a number of nonprofits that sit on our board. I mean, CTI is represented, the Health Center, the CBA is represented, Boys and Girls Club is represented, among others. And that gives us insight, I think, at a board level to the needs in the community, you know, at regular board meetings. On our program committee that has been meeting quite frequently over the last couple of years because of the COVID. Those are some of the key discussions. What are the things that we need to focus on in the community? And you know, you get a great insight when you're talking to some of the key nonprofits that provide those services in the community to begin with. It's not a matter, not that I couldn't call them up and ask them, but to have them part of the governance structure and part of the work that gets done here, I think adds certainly a different dynamic, and one that I think has worked really, really well for the foundation to meet the needs in the community in a way that, again, is efficient and effective. And at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do. Align the resources the best you can to address the concerns in the community. So
it just goes to show you what a great partner you are as well. I mean, you know, Lowell's known for partnerships, and the fact that you have the nonprofit sitting on your board versus other community foundations that don't just goes to just show everybody that how well organizations and businesses within the community are really working together and partnering.
I know. And we'll celebrate some of that on the 25th too. And I also want to mention with regard to the 25th that, you know, if folks want to register for that, they can. Just go to glcf.org and you will find a link to do that. This is the first time on an annual meeting that we've actually required registration and that we're actually charging. And we're charging a whopping $25. I don't think it will take you so long to figure out how we came up with that. But it's important to note that the $25, 100% of those proceeds will go into a grant fund for a grant that we will make later in the year.
Great.
And the other reason why we want registration is just because of the COVID protocols that are there. You know, you keep your fingers crossed, you know, that everything goes well. But in the event that we need to communicate with everybody that's coming that evening about some particular change as a result of COVID or whatever, we will have the ability to have all the emails and send something out very quickly and keep folks informed. And yeah, folks will check in at the door. But we're really looking forward to it. We're taking a little bit more of a step with regard to, you know, making this a special event, in particular as to how we're going to outfit the Inning Conference Center. We've worked closely with them. I brought on board an old friend that I used to work with at Middlesex that knows how to put a flair touch on an event. And so I'm excited about that. And so it's because it is a special event. I was talking with the board the other day, and we were laughing about this. So I said, I really want to celebrate the 25th because I don't have really much of an intention of being here when we celebrate the 50th. I said, I think I will be gone by that particular point.
We hope not.
Hopefully not gone, but gone from the foundation anyways. So again, looking forward to celebrating. It's exciting for the Community Foundation to do that. We'll talk a little bit about the history, how the Community Foundation was formed, which is an interesting story in and of itself. And then of course, you know, just the past 25 years again, what are some of the key things that have happened? And you know, some of the key players that have been a part of it. I mean, you know, it was funny as I was, and I do this often, but I was looking at, you know, who are the incorporators in the Articles of Incorporation. And it's, you know, George Duncan, Nancy and Dick Donahue, Peter Stamus, Jock Pearson, and Bob Hayden. Unfortunately, you know, 3 of those people are no longer with us, which is unfortunate. But it's clearly, you know, I think as you think of those names that were such, you know, folks of notoriety in our community that were the, you know, the beginning of the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, I think that speaks a lot to the community be involved, the people that are involved, and all of those people continue to be involved in so many different ways. And the other part of the Greater Lowell Community Foundation is, as it began, as you can note from those names, it was Lowell centric. Lowell by far is the largest community in the 20 other towns that we serve. But the ability to get out to the other towns, to be inclusive of all the whole service area that we service. Through the COVID grants, every single community in our service has participated in that. There have been grants that have gone out to 21 of the 21 communities that we serve. Again, Lowell getting the lion's share for the reasons of the need being a little far greater than the surrounding communities. But everybody participates in the work that we do here, and we're thrilled to say that. And more we try to reach out, and that's a continuum. That's part of the goal that we want to continue to look to accomplish.
So the event is on June 2nd. You want to give the details one more time, and then we'll save the rest for people when they attend. They'll get to go hear the whole history and all the great things you're doing.
Sure. June 2nd, which is a Thursday evening. It begins at 5 o'clock. Our keynote is 𝙘𝙗𝙗𝙧𝙘. Registration is required. To register, to sign up to come, go to glcffoundation.org. The link is pretty clear right on our homepage. There is a $25 fee. 100% of that fee will go towards a grant that we will award later in the year. We're not exactly sure what that might be, but rest assured it will be something that has an impact on our community, because that's what we're supposed to do, and that's what we have done. And we'll probably do that at Celebrate Giving, which again is the other event that we usually run. And currently that's scheduled for October 26th at UTEC. So it's, the 25th anniversary comes around once. So we want to make sure that we do it right. I trust that we will, and I'm hopeful that a lot of people come and celebrate with us for the work that the foundation has done and the impact it's had on the community.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for all that you do, for all that the Community Foundation does. And I will put the links to everything we talked about right when we post the video, so people don't even have to Google anything. We will make it super easy for them to register.
Cool. And thanks so much for you do at the Chamber. You are an amazing ambassador for the business communities in our area, and you do amazing work there. And you have been and continue to be a great partner of the Greater Lowell Community Foundation. Greatly appreciate it. So thank you for that.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. You make it easy. I love working with you.
No, same.
Well, thank you so much. And maybe I'll bump into you on the street outside today, because it is
that's a
stellar
distinct
day.
Possibility. Yeah, distinct possibility.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right.